This morning. I hope you don't mind. He wanted to show off his turtleneck and his remembrance poppy, and I thought that was a very very nice idea. So Fred and I have decided that his official title is support flamingo. I think that I think that says everything. I think it takes us to the right place. And I think, hang on a second. I'm just trying to find something has gone wonky here. Can't seem to say. Oh, no, that's not it. Welcome back. Okay, here, there it is. There we go. Now I've clicked on the welcome back thing. So Fred's arrival yesterday kind of kind of falls in with the theme for today's video, which is that I want to talk to you about the terminology, the insider enlisted uh, kid nickname BRAT. And I want to talk to you about it for a fun reason and also, an important reason. All of these videos are, they have an element of the serious and the silly at the same time. So the first thing I wanted to say before anything was thank you for continuing to be part of this journey with me. Thank you for choosing to do this. Thank you for taking the time, whether you're doing it while I'm actually live or you're checking in later on. I so appreciate it. And if my posting of Fred for the first time yesterday is any indication, he may be the hook that gets you coming again to see what I'm going to do with him every time. The reason I want to talk about the BRAT situation is not only for Remembrance Day, but it really taps into something very important that we all forget. All of us, all the time forget. I am just as guilty as everybody. And the thing we forget is this. We tell each other, we tell ourselves to just do, to just get on with it, to just take care of it. And the word just annoys the living daylights out of me because it is a pejorative. When you say it, for heaven's sakes, just do this, it's an indication, it's an assumption that the thing that we are not doing, that we are stopped by, is somehow easy. And we could have done it if we had really wanted to. And so clearly the fact that we haven't done it is an indication that we don't care. And those things are wrong. Those are bad, if this, then that. And it's that whole, if 1950s televisions were black and white and penguins are black and white, then penguins are 1950 televisions. A brat is not somebody with an attitude of, let's see how much trouble we can get into because I am ready and willing and probably able. A brat, although that there is that in a lot of military kids, a brat stands for something that we don't really pay attention to. And the letters go back a long time, and most people don't know what they stand for. And what they do stand for is British Regimental Attached Traveller. So the term dates all the way back to the colonial era, when England was a force to be reckoned with on the world stage and was claiming territories and places and people and interests and purposes under its umbrella, under its skirts, if you like. And an attached traveler was someone, good morning, Steve Hill, nice to see you. An attached traveler in those days was not considered a fully registered person. An attached traveler was an accessory before and after the fact. So for the enlisted personnel, an attached traveler was a spouse, a child, a dependent, if you like. That's another term that is military used. We were considered dependents. Dependent on the rank that the parent held, dependent on the pleasure of the military decision-making procedures. And we were therefore not independent, right? So while that sounds very pejorative and very condescending and very limiting and very old-fashioned, The thing I want to say is this: we're all attached to somebody. We're all attached to something. We're all part of some process that has brought us to where we are. We are not independent, standalone. I invented my own self out of nothing. Poof, and here I am. We are all the product of something. And when we forget that, when we say to people, well, just do it, and we don't realize that we are imposing our layers and layers of attached traveler dependent learning and habits and behaviors, we are imposing those on other people who don't come from whence we came. They are different from us, and they're different in very important and valuable and exciting ways. So, this month in Canada, for those of you who are watching from someplace else, in the month of November, we celebrate the loss, the love, the loyalty, the pride that we have for people who enlisted, who chose to say, I'm in, and if need be, I will give my life for this. That is who we honor. Um, Fred is wearing a poppy. I am wearing, and I'm very honored to own it and have it, I am wearing what is called the sweetheart pin. And it was an old tradition. My dad gave this pin to my mom when they were sweethearts, when they were courting. And so it's a sort of a semi-clear plastic, and it's heart red. And what's in the center of it that you can't really see is the Air Force crest. And so she was the sweetheart of an Air Force officer. And I am their child. And so that's what I wear in the month of November. There is not a chance that there could be a moment that I would forget. So the poppy is not what I need to wear. I wear the sweetheart pin to celebrate the love that we all have for each other, and the pride and the connection and the loyalty that we all have for the people we love, who loved to serve no matter what. That's what this is all about. So Fred, we've decided that he and I chose the name Fred for two reasons. Fred was the name of a boy that I dated in high school, who had a certain element of je ne sais quoi about him, and caused the utmost damn astonishment almost everywhere he went. And I was very fond of him for that. And also because of the song, the right said, Fred, I'm too sexy for my shirt. when I removed Fred from the container that they had shipped him in. And I laughed and laughed and laughed, and then I laughed some more, and then I took a picture of Fred and I sent it to people, and they laughed and laughed. And Carol said, my eyes are a little teary because I was talking about my daddy and my mom. So give me a second. Carol said, and in the name of this creature? And I said, well, it's Fred. And she said, well, of course it is. And she said, if you're not careful, he's going to catch his death of cold. And I said, yeah, I know. I've already ordered a sweater and a toque. And she's laughing. I said, why are you laughing? And she said, because I know you're not kidding. But in the meantime, I decided that a turtleneck would be perfect, because then I could of course give Fred the poppy for remembrance, and he would truly be a support creature for me and for everyone who needs a good laugh. So Fred is going to accomplish quite a few things for me. The primary one is he's going to cause the utmost damned astonishment everywhere he goes, and he doesn't have to do anything but just appear, and it will completely change the nature of the conversation people were about to have or were in the middle of having until Fred arrived. And why not, really? Why not? So this business about the BRAT and the attached traveler status and the assumption that we all share the same framing and the same contouring, if you like. I love the verb contour because it is how we mold and shape and shadow uh, uh, what is, in order to create an image and an impression that fits the mold that we are filling, either for ourselves or for society. So as a brat, my role has always been to represent, and to represent a lot of things. It has also been my role to clarify, to tell the story in a way that other people take ownership, to navigate the story in a way, to nudge the story so that people will see the path that I am walking and be able to compare it to the path that they are walking. And why I do this, for the longest time, I had no idea, because for the longest time, I had no idea about my ancestry. So it is ingrained in me that the story not only tells me who I am, it not only tells you who I am, it tells us who we are. And once we know who we are, we have a much better understanding of the things that drive us, that motivate us, that inspire us, that lurk to galvanize us to go where we need to be going. And and the concept of brat, which is my theme today, is that none of us is entirely alone. None of us learns how to do and be. Oh, Steve, that's interesting. We all came or were linked by a branch, and also are a variation of the people in our society. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Beautifully said. Thank you. Um, the business of being a brat, of being an attached traveler, is what we're attached to. And the story that we are attached to, the legacy, the legends, the thing I used to say all the time, um, I don't know why you even bother. You'll never amount to anything. You're just like your uncle or your aunt or your cousin. You might as well stay home. Better yet, stay in bed. Better yet, stay under the bed. Ask uncle or cousin or aunt so-and-so to move over and make room for you. And all of those conversations that we have with ourselves silently on the loop tape are the reasons we stay stuck. We get fixated on what isn't enough. And we get so caught up in what isn't enough that we forget to pay attention to all the things that are more than enough. That the cup is so full, it's overflowing. That the glass is so full, we actually need 2 or 3 or a dozen to contain all the potential that is within us, and that is sent forward to us, brought forward to us by all the people who came before. And when we get focused on why me, and I'm only this, and I'll never, and blah, 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 we're not thinking about all those people who tried so damned hard, or had a bad day and didn't try at all, and then felt terrible and got up the next day and started trying again. Because we're not a one-off. We weren't here first. When we can look back through the mists of time, there's a whole bunch of people right behind us. And if we can squint into the future, there's a whole bunch more waiting just outside the door. So we are part of this continuum. And I was talking on Friday to two utterly brilliant, utterly wonderful people who've become my friends, who were my colleagues, and before that were my clients, and are now my collaborators. Two brilliant therapists and scientists and students of the human condition. They live in Arizona. He originally lived in Montana. She originally lived in New York. They met in college. They fell in love, and they got separated for many years, and then they found each other again, and Shazam. And they're working together and separately from different perspectives and directions, because their disciplines are of a similar nature, but separate and apart. they're working on this whole concept of brokenness and picking up the pieces and mending and healing and learning from the previous experience and our response to it and how it shaped us, where the scars are, what we can do to use those lessons that have shaped us in some very important way. And well, hello, Sean Ryan. Good morning. How are you? Have you met Fred? Are you jealous? So the conversation that I had with them, with Michael and with Andrea, has to do with Pivotry in Motion, and has to do with this amazing training program he has, and has to do with an incredible program that she's developing, all of them separate, all three, and yet very, very supportive. And Sean Ryan, I'm going to bet that you did not see Fred coming either. The opportunity for me to talk to Michael and Andrea just kind of blew up in my face in a glorious, wonderful, like 4th of July fireworks moment, when Michael was the one who said that his program was predicated on a concept that has been in existence since the 1990s, and it's called post-traumatic growth. And I kind of went still for a second, and I said, let me write that down. And when I wrote it down, I'm sorry I'm laughing, but Sean, when I wrote it down, when I saw the words post-traumatic growth, Andrea said, yes, we thought that really capture your imagination in a lot of ways. So here's the thing I want to talk about today, in addition to the exchange, the sidebar exchange I'm having with Sean, is this. We have an opportunity to grow if we do two things. If we recognize and celebrate and honor who we are and where we come from. That's the first thing we have to do. And the second thing we have to do is pause and recognize that where we come from does not have to be where we are going. We are walking here. We can be exactly who and what we want to be. We can attach and detach and reattach at the drop of a hat whenever we realize that our attachment or our detachment or our reattachment is part of the journey forward. And we have the power and we have the freedom and we have the ability to say, who's with me? And if it turns out that it's someone like Fred, then what we get to do is sit back and anticipate all the looks of utmost damned astonishment everywhere I go, because of course I will be bringing Fred with me. And when I was talking to Carol and then to Christine last night, and the two of them were laughing, because I am going to an event on Thursday that is fairly la-di-da. And I had another friend, Suzette, who said, I would be willing to pay real money to watch you do that. And I said, it could be arranged, both. You could come and you could pay me the real money. I'm up for that. So the reason for Fred and the reason for including him today and at other times, not all the time, Fred is not going to upstage everything I'm doing. The reason to include him is a guide for you. I'm not a coach, and I'm not a therapist, and I'm not a Sherpa, because I have all the wrong shoes for Sherpaing. What I am, I think, is a fellow traveler. I'm a fellow attached traveler, and I've been doing it longer, maybe. And so maybe I'm familiar with the path. And maybe I can say, if you'd care to walk with me, I'll show you where the bog is, and I'll show you where the easy steps are, and I'll show you where the heavy lifting has to happen. And if you're willing, I'll show you how to bend and lift with your knees, um, because I think that's part of what I need to be doing for me and for Fred and for everybody who woke up this morning or yesterday or tomorrow morning feeling that their tank was on empty and they didn't know how to fill it and they didn't know who to reach out to have the filling happen. And they didn't know where the tools are, where the thingamy-foo that you push to release the hood lid that opens the whatnot to put the tank filler nozzle thingy in. If we don't know where the tools are and we don't know how to use them, even if we can find them, it's devastating and it's frightening and it feels very, very alone, right? And what I want to say today is that in this month of remembrance, and on these days of seeing how other people reflect and cherish on where they've been and where they've come from and where they're going, is that we have the ultimate freedom to do and be. We have the ultimate freedom and we have the ability to set ourselves free. How we get there from where we are is we have to take a moment every so often and check. Are we still saying it's not that bad? Or has there been a shift? And are we now saying, not good enough, not anymore? If that's the case, then you're ready and you're willing. And if you want to work with me, I'll help you hone and polish your ability. Does that seem like a fair deal? What do you think, Fred? Okay, this is going to be very short today. There's a ton of things that have to be done that I put off doing. And I know I need to get to them, and I've been slacking a little bit. So I'm going to go and do that. And I want to say before I go that, of course, I'll be back on Thursday. And because, of course, I'll have other new fun things to talk about. And I want you, when you can, as you can, to remember that not only should you be good to you because you deserve it, but you also have the opportunity to remind the people around you that they need to be good to themselves too. We all do. We're all worth it. And remember to hug your loved ones. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you next time. Mwah.